Wife has no feelings for me. When a woman said to me, "You're hot," she exploded with jealousy. Update 1. My name is Noah Carter. I'm 37, and I work as a plumber in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Nothing fancy, but I'm good at what I do. I wake up every day. At 6 a.m., shower, pack my tools, grab a thermos of gas station coffee, and head out to fix busted toilets or frozen pipes in basements that smell like mold and old regrets. My knees ache, my hands are cracked, but I put food on the table and keep the lights on. I thought that meant something. My wife, Melissa, works from home. She does admin for a real estate firm, spends most of her day on the couch with her laptop and her wireless headset, speaking in that fake sweet voice for hours while she scrolls her phone during meetings. First, I thought maybe she was just stressed. We all get tired, right? Maybe it was the cold weather, maybe it was work, maybe it was hormones. I kept telling myself, don't pressure her, just give her time. But time turned into months. Months of sleeping next to someone who didn't touch me. Months of getting home from 10-hour shifts to a woman who barely looked up from her phone. Months of trying to rub her shoulders or kiss her cheek, only to be met with "Not now, Noah. I'm exhausted." I started to track the last time she hugged me. It had been 7 weeks. 7 weeks since she reached for my hand, since she kissed me without me initiating it, since she called me anything other than Noah, or "Can you take out the trash?" It got to the point where I just stand at the bedroom door some nights watching, her curled up on her side of the bed, phone in hand, face lit up by her screen while she typed away. "Who you texting?" I asked once, trying to make it playful. She didn't even look up, just a coworker, relax. It was 11:40 p.m. That was the first time I felt my stomach twist, like something didn't add up. But I buried it because the truth was worse than the silence. The day she told me she didn't feel anything anymore, I didn't yell, I didn't beg, didn't cry. I just stood there, lasagna on my plate, trying to figure out how the hell we got there. I remember asking then, "Why are you still here?" She blinked. Like it was a stupid question because we're married, Noah, and we have bills. "What do you want me to do? Just disappear?" I wanted to scream, yes, because if someone feels nothing for you but still uses your heat, your money, your presence, and your roof, they're not a wife. They're a parasite with a wedding ring. And still, night after night, she got into bed next. To me, same sheet, same room. Like nothing was broken, except everything was. She never touched me. She barely spoke to me. But she had no problem eating food I paid for, running the heat I paid for, and using the car I kept filled with gas. And yet, whenever I even hinted a therapy or separation, she'd brush it off. Overreacting. You always make things more dramatic than they are. Stop trying to ruin everything. I wasn't there to ruin. She already said it. She didn't love me. Tried to fix myself. I shaved every morning. I trimmed my beard. I started doing push-ups in the garage while waiting for the laundry to finish. I stopped bringing up intimacy. Thought maybe if I just became better, she'd come back. But you can't see PR corpse and our marriage was dead. I remember one night in particular. It was snowing outside, the wind howling against the windows. I walked into the bedroom with 2 mugs of hot cocoa. One for me, one for her. She was curled up under the blankets, scrolling TikTok with that blank stare she always had lately. I handed her the mug. She took it and said thanks, without even glancing at me. I sat beside her, not even touching, just existing next to her. Used to smile when I walked in the room, I said quietly. Her thumb stopped scrolling for a second. She looked at me and said, "You used to bring me flowers." I laughed, not a funny laugh. The kind you let out when you're 1 second away from crying, but too tired to bother. "Melissa, I bring you food. I bring you money. I keep this house running while you act like I'm invisible." She shrugged. Maybe we both stopped trying. That was the most honest thing she'd said in weeks. That night, I laid next to her and stared at the ceiling, listening to her breathing. Wondering how the hell I ended up married to someone who only saw me when I stopped paying for something, and it hit me. She wasn't staying because she loved me. She was staying because it was convenient. Because leaving men, finding her own apartment, paying her own bills, being alone, I was comfortable. Background noise. Reliable. Noah fixes things, pays rent, stays quiet. But I wasn't a husband to her. I was a utility. And then I realized something terrifying. This wasn't rock bottom. It was routine. It's what a lot of men are living right now. And they don't even talk about it, because we're taught to man up. To not complain. To keep pushing through. But what happens when you push through a loveless marriage for years? What happens when your presence becomes a burden, and your absence wouldn't be noticed? You die inside and she won't even see it? I wasn't perfect. God knows I wasn't, but I showed up every day. I kept trying. And Melissa. She checked out and made me feel guilty for noticing that's how it all began. With a lasagna plate in my hand and a woman who said she didn't feel anything anymore. But still slept in my bed every single night. Not because she loved me, but because she didn't want to live without my paycheck. Never forget her face. Not the woman who flirted with me, no? I'm talking about Melissa's face. The one she made when she heard another woman say, I was hot. The same woman who told me weeks earlier with zero hesitation that she didn't love me anymore. Update 2, you want the truth. That moment cracked something wide open. Not in her, in me. It was a Saturday, late April. It's the kind of day where the sky is clear. The air smells like charcoal and beer. And every backyard in Jersey is bumping country playlists from Bluetooth speakers that cost more than a grill. We were at my coworker Gabe's place in Newark. Gabe's the kind of guy who throws cookouts like it's a job. Brisket smoking since 5 a.m. Cornhole board set up, beer pong table in the corner, and enough Bud Light and Sam Adams to make you forget you have work on Monday. I wasn't even going to bring Melissa. We'd been sleeping in the same bed like two strangers. The vibe at home was cold, like Arctic cold. But Gabe had been nudging me all week, saying, bring your wife, man, bring her out. Maybe it'll do y'all some good, so I did a big mistake, she showed. Up like she didn't want to be there, hair in a messy bun, oversized hoodie. Didn't talk to anyone unless they talked to her first. While everyone was chatting and laughing, she posted up on one of the patio chairs with her phone glued to her hand, thumbs moving like she was solving a national emergency through texts. I was trying. I handed her a plate with ribs, corn on the cob, mac and cheese, she said. I'm not that hungry, then picked at it like I served her cat food, so I left her alone. I wasn't going to beg. I walked over to the cooler, grabbed a beer, started talking to Gabe and a few others near the grill. That's when Amy walked in. Now let me be real clear. I didn't even notice her at first. I was halfway through a beer laughing at something stupid Gabe said about clogged toilets. But Amy, she noticed me. She was tall, tan black hair down her shoulders. Turns out she was Gabe's cousin in town for the weekend, from South Carolina. She worked in healthcare phlebotomist at a clinic. Single mom, divorced 2 years. But I didn't know any of that yet. All I knew was she looked right at me, smirked and said, "You're hot for a married guy." I'll say that just like that, no filter. She sipped her drink, tilted her head and added, "Your wife must be fighting women off with a stick." I was stunned. I swear my brain took a full 5 seconds to process it. No woman had said something like that to me in years, not even my own wife. Hell, especially not my wife. So I laughed. Not a flirty laugh, just a shock. Did that really just happen? Kind of laugh? Then I saw it out of the corner of my eye across the yard. Melissa stood up fast like she'd been burnt. She stormed over, didn't smile, didn't say hi. She looked at Amy, then at me, then back at Amy, and said with a smile that could cut glass, "I'm his wife," in case that wasn't obvious. Amy blinked. "Oh, I didn't mean any." But Melissa cut her off. "Sure you didn't." Then turned to me and said, "Can we talk?" Voice low, tight, but boiling. I followed her like a damn fool across the yard. Past the cornhole game into Gabe's kitchen where no one could hear. She spun around, her eyes were wild. "Are you serious right now?" she hissed. "What are you talking about?" I asked. "You're just standing there, letting some random chick flirt with you in front of everyone?" I almost laughed again, but not out of humor. "This time, you're the one who said you don't feel anything for me," I replied. "So what does it matter that—" Shut her up for a second. Then she said the line, "I'll never forget you're mine, Noah. Whether I love you or not, you're still mine." That was the moment I realized what this was all about. She didn't want me, but she didn't want anyone else to want me either. We drove home in silence. She sat with her arms crossed, face turned to the window, fuming like I cheated in front of her. I didn't apologize. I didn't defend myself. I just stared out the windshield, hands tight on the steering wheel, thinking this is what I've become. A possession, not a partner, not a lover, just something she claimed, but no longer cared for. Over the next few days, everything shifted. Melissa suddenly started hovering. She'd ask where I was going when I left for work, check my phone when I got in the shower, text me at random hours. "Who are you with? Aren't you answering? You seem different lately." Oh, I was different. Was awake. That little moment at Gabe's barbecue, that 5-second flirt from a stranger, was the first time in years I remembered what it felt like to be seen, to be appreciated, to be a man. The ironic part. Melissa never asked me what the woman's name was. She didn't care who she was. She just cared that someone else saw something valuable in me, something she'd ignored for months. That's what made her snap, not love, territorial pride. She wanted the perks of a husband, the stability, the money, the presence. But without giving anything in return. The moment she saw someone else appreciate what she'd thrown away, she'd panicked. But it was too late, because the truth is, when someone tells you they feel nothing for you, and then gets jealous the minute someone else shows you affection, that's not love. That's control. And I wasn't going to be controlled anymore. That barbecue. That random Saturday was smoke in the air and country music blaring in the background. That was the day I stopped being the man who waited around for her to change. That was the day I stopped asking, why doesn't she love me? And started thinking, why the hell am I still here now? Update 3. She walked into the kitchen wearing my hoodie like she always did and asked me, "Do you want pancakes today?" It was the softest she'd sounded in months. I looked at her for maybe 3 full seconds. She had no idea I'd already moved. She had no clue I was done. I didn't want pancakes, I wanted peace. So I smiled politely and said, "Nah, I'm good. Already ate." That was my first little revenge. Silence, indifference, peace. Because when a woman tells you she doesn't love you anymore, and you stop caring too, that's when she starts to fall apart. Let me take you back a little. After that barbecue, after Melissa lost her mind over a simple compliment from a stranger, something in me shifted permanently. I didn't rage, I didn't scream, I didn't cheat. I just stopped responding. You know what? Happens when you stop feeding a fire, it dies. That's exactly what I did to her control over me. I cut the oxygen. I started by changing my schedule. I'd leave the house at 5 a.m., not 6:15. I didn't tell her where I was going. She'd ask, and I'd just say gym, which was true. I joined Iron Core Boxing Gym in Patterson, New Jersey. A friend of mine, Tony, had been going for years. Heavy bag drills, cardio circuits, mid-work. It wasn't about punching out anger. It was about discipline, focus, and building back the man I used to be. I dropped 20 pounds in 2 months, got leaner, stronger, sharper, started dressing better. Stopped wearing beat-up hoodies and switched to clean black tees and fitted jeans. Got a haircut from a new barbershop in downtown Newark, fresh fade, tight. Beard, Melissa noticed. Of course she did. One night she walked past me in the hallway and mumbled, "You look different." I just nodded, didn't thank her, didn't ask for more. Meanwhile, I stopped asking for affection, stopped inviting her to sit with me on the couch, stopped reaching for her hand under the blanket, stopped waiting for her to want me. Instead, I started. Eating alone, prepped my meals, brown rice, chicken breast, broccoli, took them to work in a cooler bag. No more ordering pizza for both of us, no more grocery shopping for our fridge. If she wanted dinner, she could make it herself. Her husband anymore. I was just the guy who happened to share a mailbox. Then came the next layer. I froze the joint account, not because I was being cruel, but because it was my money. I worked for it while she sat at home, barely working, texting coworkers who made her giggle like she was 13 again. So I called the bank, opened a private checking account, and redirected my direct deposit. I left just enough in the joint account to pay the water and electric. 3 days later, she came to me holding her debit card like it was broken. Why was my card declined at Trader Joe's? I shrugged. Maybe you should check the balance. She stared at me, eyes wide. You took the money? No, I said calmly. I took my money, right? Her lips parted like she wanted to argue, but she didn't because she knew I was right now. Here's where it got really real. Week by week, I became a ghost inside my own house. I wasn't cold. I wasn't aggressive. I was just calmly unavailable. She'd walk into the room, I'd finish my phone call, and leave. She'd make small talk in the kitchen. I'd answer politely, then go back to reading. She'd come to bed in one of my old shirts. I'd roll over without touching her. It drove her insane. She didn't love me, but she couldn't stand not being the center of my world. One night, about 2 months into my quiet exit, I got home from training around 8:30 p.m. Melissa was on the couch, blanket over. Her legs, TV on, a glass of wine in her hand. She looked up and asked, "You've been out a lot lately. Are you seeing someone?" I took off my shoes, placed them neatly by the door and replied, "Why would that bother you?" She blinked, didn't answer because now she was living my old life, wondering where I was, who I was with, what I was thinking. That was my revenge, letting her feel the emotional starvation she once fed me every single day. And no, I wasn't cheating, but I wasn't lonely either. At the gym, I met people. Men who understood grind and discipline, women who respected space. In effort, there was one in particular, Tasha, a trainer, mid-30s, beautiful soul. We talked after class sometimes. She gave me tips on form and posture. She once said, "I don't know what your story is, but you carry a kind of silence. Most men don't survive." I never forgot that line I didn't tell Melissa about. Tasha didn't. Need to? She already felt her not by name, but by presence. Melissa started waking up early, started wearing makeup again, bought new clothes, left her phone face down on the table. It was too late because I was no longer trying to be wanted. I was finally valuing myself. 2 weeks later, I packed a bag. Not all my stuff, just enough, Melissa asked. "Where are you going?" "Guy," zipped my duffel and said. "Somewhere I'm not treated like furniture." She followed me to the door, voice trembling. "Noah, wait. Why are you doing this?" I stopped and looked at her tired eyes, barefoot hoodie. Halfway zipped the same woman who once said, "I don't feel anything for you anymore." And now she looked like a kid, watching her balloon float away. So I told her the truth. It made me feel invisible for a year, Melissa. Now you know how that feels. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I'm doing this to save myself. And I walked out that night. She texted me a paragraph saying she was sorry. She didn't know what she was thinking, that maybe she got too comfortable, that maybe she was scared that she missed me already. I didn't reply. Out of spite, but because I didn't miss her, that was my revenge. No yelling, no cheating, no chaos. Just letting her feel exactly what she gave me. Neglect, confusion, silence. And once she felt that she couldn't handle it, because the truth is most people don't understand the pain. They cause until they have to sit in it themselves. And that's what she's doing now, sitting in it alone while I rebuild.